Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live from the Tower, your weekly Destiny show. And this week, everything stops. Obviously, I don't mean the game is ending. I don't mean the servers are shut down. If you're paying attention to the weekly story, you know that we've found the last egg about 20 weeks ahead of the final shape. And Crow goes through the portal. And that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot to talk about. Mainly the weekly story, which was you go in, and we did get some interesting lore information. So you go in, you basically run on a segment of the coil, you run a pathway, and then you find the egg. You fight a bunch of Scorn in kind of Mara's personal chambers, and they reference the fact that some of the Scorn are a part of the Witnesses army, and the rest of them are part of Fikrul's army. And Osiris sits there and goes, Fikrul? I didn't know he was still around. And Mara goes and tells him that Petra had a run-in with some of them on Earth. They were trying to find a dead Ahamkara, and those of you who have done the dungeon know that that is a reference to Warlord's Ruin. If you didn't do the dungeon, now you know. There are Fikrul's, Mara calls them Fikrul's Knights, and they try to use a dead Ahamkara to make a wish. So, we find the egg. Mission's really easy, especially if you're using a Solar 3.0 subclass this season. And my cat is, for those of you watching and listening, my cat is crawling under our couch. That's why I paused just now. And you beat the Scorn and you find the egg, and Mara and Osiris have a little bit of a talk. When you find the egg, Osiris references the fact that Mara's had other eggs, and Mara alludes to them being essentially a backup plan at any given point. And then the mission ends. We see a cutscene in which Riven... Well, no, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. We go back to the Dreaming City. We go to the Wish Wall, which is its own instance zone. And there, Riven lights up the 4 plates we need to shoot. And it's essentially the scene from the trailer. When you shoot the plate, the face turns from whatever the icon is, say it's dragon or whatever, to the face of Riven. You light all 4 up, and Riven makes a remark about how this is where it all began. This is where we killed her. It's time for her last meal, her last, basically she's like, oh, my last meal, my last day, my last wish, something along those lines. Then we get a cutscene in the helm. Riven opens a portal, and Mara and Crow have a little moment. We're not there for whatever reason. And this is what I don't understand. It's so integral that unless this is supposed to be happening as soon as we hit the dial on the wishing wall, we're so integral to a lot of these scenes, and Crow has this huge heart-to-heart with us last week. It kind of felt like we should have been there instead of just Crow and Mara. But he jumps through the portal, and then Mara says he's on his way. I didn't I didn't listen to the audio transmission this week, but I'm sure there is one. As you can see, my demeanor is not very upbeat, and it's honestly because while I'm excited for the final shape, I have to wait 20 weeks. I mean, we're getting this wishes mode, but who knows what it means, because I haven't checked. Someone can confirm or deny this, but Riven makes a point of saying once you make the wish, the Techeuns cannot hold my apparition here. So what happens when we go to the Riven's lair? Is it just going to be the orb that's going to be our little vendor for the rest of the week? Is it going to be Petra? Yeah, who knows? I didn't really check. I did the mission. I kind of logged out. Because all things considered, there's not much I want to do. I could replay the campaigns, right? I have a Titan that I'm rolling that I could go and do the, what is it? The, I can't think of it. What's it called? The rest of the DLCs. I haven't done Nightfall on it yet, but I'm still in Witch Queen, and I could go and do that, do the legendary campaigns, all that stuff, build craft, learn how to build craft, which I really don't care about, which we'll get into, and then that's it. Either go play Destiny 1, or play other games, or do this podcast. So it's kind of a bummer because they put time limits on everything. And I saw a video today Paul Tassi put out, and I know how most people, you either like Paul Tassi or you just hate him. I don't know why there's so much hate for Paul Tassi. I never understood it. Maybe someone who hates Paul Tassi can talk to me and tell me why they hate him. But in any regard, I saw a video and he talked about something that I've seen discussed online recently. And that's looking back towards Bungie before, or Bungie during Activision, and then Bungie after the split. And one of the things that I got to remembering was there was no time limit on things. So when we had Curse of Osiris and Warmind, you did the content, but you got to do it at your own cadence. And I know what you're going to say. Well, we had like 6 months to do this season. You didn't have to play the story back to back. Well, when you release it weekly, most people are going to want to play it weekly like a TV show. Whereas before, you played the campaign of the expansion, and then everything kind of just got discovered, and you could kind of do everything at your own pace. And that's one of the things that I don't like about seasons, and I've never liked about seasons. And it's a reason why I don't have a lot of ornaments from the Shadowkeep era. Because this constant need to just keep up with the game. Instead of, it's all there, discover it on your own. So like, think back to, honestly, Forsaken. I mean, I know they had seasons in Forsaken, but they weren't seasons in the modern sense where they were sunset at the end of the year. Forsaken was very much there's a lot of stuff here. Go play it at your own. And I know what some people are going to say. Well, that's because they were with, the Bungie can't do that anymore. They made it clear. Yeah, do you ever wonder why they can't do it anymore? It's because they don't have 2 to 3 other studios helping them do stuff. All right? Forsaken was made by Bungie, High Moon Studios. I think there was another Activision studio that helped them. It wasn't Toys for Bob. I don't think it was Raven either. There were 2 Activision studios. One of them was High Moon. And Paul points this out, and I agree with him. I understand that the Activision cadence of content is not sustainable. That's fine. But they've been working on Final Shape since before Season of the Wish got announced. Which means Season of the Wish was probably done ahead of time. So my whole thing is we get these seasons piecemealed, sold separately, or bundled together, however you want to purchase them. And then it goes, oh, so you have a time limit to when you can play this. And there's a reason I say that, because some of you will be like, no, you have the whole year to play them. Do you? Really think about it. Because say you wanted, let's use the Season of the Deep title. I don't know, was it Aquanaut? If you want the Season of the Deep title, to get it, you must reset your rank on the vendor. Say you played Season of the Deep and you're like, oh, this was fun. You did your 8-week story, and then you're like, the armor's not that cool. I'll come back for the title. You leave it. You go play something else. well, here's Season of the Witch. And you're like, oh, that looks cool. Oh, yeah. So you're playing Season of the Witch, and then you beat the story, or you have downtime, and you're like, oh, let me work on the Season of the Deep title. And you walk on over to the vendor, and then what's not there? Bounties. Which, bounties, paired with the NPA Werewalker armor, equals boosted reputation, equals sped up rep gains. And guess what? Can't do that no more. And I mean, I haven't checked how much rep you get for putting on that mid-seasonal armor, but it feels like you'd have to sit there and grind a lot if you didn't already have a high enough rank. So that's what I mean when I say it's not, you really don't have the ability to play this game at your own pace anymore. And that was one of the big draws for Destiny. You could, at least for me, you had the hardcore people that would grind, and that's the argument everybody makes. Well, if they released all the content at once, then everybody would just do it in 5 days and then they bitch him out. Yeah, alright, fine. And guess what happened? They were like, Bungie was like, you don't like when we do that, huh? We're gonna release it piecemeal. You get a crumb today. Oh, here's another crumb. Here's another crumb. Oh, those are your 8 crumbs for the next 3 months. Have fun. And what do? You sit there and you run strikes, which they haven't updated. You sit there and run PvP, which is basically it's not dead in the water, but they really didn't care about PvP until about 2 months ago. And then, or you sit there and you play Gambit, which is dead because everyone's like, Gambit sucks. And it's like, does Gambit really suck? No, I think people got a bad taste in their mouth from Joker's Wild, and they didn't want to play Gambit. And then Bungie messed up by doing Gambit Prime, and then they took maps away, and they got rid of pinnacle weapons, so there's no reason to go after any special gun in Gambit, because there's just world drops that probably are the same thing. And it's like, what are we doing? Trials isn't in a good place because there's cheaters galore. Iron Banner hasn't been fun lately. So you can't play it at your own pace. Because you could sit there and go, you know what, I'm going to wait the 8 weeks and I'll play it all when it all comes out at once. And then you sit there and it's, yeah, you know what, I'm going to say it. It's a little bit more, it's as repetitive as Destiny 1. Everyone complained about Destiny 1. Oh, you just scan things. All right, well, let's look at Season of Defiant. Let's look at seasons in general. Run this 3 to 6 person match-made activity 8 weeks straight. And it's only recently where they're like, oh, so you run this for this week? You run it about like 2 times or once, right? Okay, so now you're going to do a mission, which is basically in the same zone. You're going to kill a boss. Okay, good. Here's a wall of text. Here's a radio message. See you at reset. Oh, and here's a checklist of things to do. It's just a way. I gotta breathe. Because I promised myself I wasn't gonna just like hate games for the sake of hating games this year. And I'm not. I still very much love Destiny. I mean, as you can see, I've got my little ghost here. You can't see it on the wall, but I have a Destiny Christmas style. Actually, I could pull this one off. I very much like this game. But it bothers me because everyone complained about them dropping content at one big lump. And now we've got this piecemeal stuff. And what it's done is it's taken away player agency. You can't play it at your own pace because you have to play it within the, say you save the 8 weeks. Well, you can't literally, I shouldn't say literally. You almost can't go online for 8 weeks if you don't want to be spoiled. Which, try doing that in today. Some of you may be able to do it. Most people can't. Or won't be able to do it. And then, well, you paid, then it's the sunk cost fallacy. Well, you paid the money for the season, so you might as well get the pass to rank 100 so you can get the cosmetics and the armor and the upgrade modules, which are so stingy with their drop rates that this is the best place to get them. So you can sit there and you go, oh, so I got my checklist here. Stun 50 champions for the 5th season in a row. Oh, okay. Get hand cannon kills in Crucible. 50 of them. Oh, okay. People complained about the bounty farm. What did Bungie do? They just slapped a new skin on it. Challenges or bounties? You cannot change my mind. Challenges are just bigger bounties. And then Bungie comes in, oh, we changed bounties, or they're more player friendly. You can, you don't have to be in Vanguard strikes to do them, which is great, by the way. I love picking up some Vanguard bounties and then going and doing whatever seasonal activity because I get the progression for them anyway. But then here comes challenges, and they're like, well, here's a challenge. Get 100 sword kills. Kill enemies in the Dreaming City. Bungie, this is just... It's like it's a Dreaming City bounty, essentially. No. It's a challenge. You get a lot of XP for it. Okay. Thanks. 3 months goes by, new season. Get 100 fusion rifle kills and kill a bunch of enemies on the EDZ. Bungie, I did this. No, it's different. It's fusion rifles and it's on a new planet. Bungie, it's literally about... No, it's not a bounty. Keep playing. It's like doing dailies in WoW. It is a daily active user and a monthly active user farm. So Bungie Big, we go, see, Sony, look how many people play our game. Very nice. And then Sony's like, oh, very, very nice, very nice. We'll give you $3.6 billion. Oh, very nice. Firm handshakes, Firm handshakes all around. And then what happens? Here comes Pete. Here comes big old Pete. Come downstairs. Yeah, guys. So our projections, we missed the mark, 45%, and there was a good chance the studio would have went under again. And now they're scrambling to fix Final Shape and make sure it's amazing and on par with Witch Queen and Forsaken and Taken King. And I'm not saying Bungie's make or break, and this is the end of it. Like, I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is, I thought I heard my skitten around here. What I'm saying is I miss the days when we had free agency. We had player agency to do what we wanted. To loop back to the beginning of this, the reason why Forsaken was different than all these other seasons was because at the time, Forsaken wasn't going anywhere. You could take a break, come back, and then be like, well, you got to do the Forge stuff and you got to do the Jokers while it's... people would go, you don't have to do them. You should do them. And you would do them. And you get Izanagi's and you get all this other stuff. And then you go and you catch up with your friends and you do all this fun stuff. Or you just don't do it. You don't do it. It's okay. But now, the bigger issue... Yeah, man, I took I just took a break. I got burnt out from Beyond Light, but I'm ready to play Lightfall. And your friend sits there and he looks at you and he says, "Oh, you should play Witch Queen." And you go, "Oh yeah, okay, I'll play Witch Queen." And you play Witch Queen, and then you jump into Lightfall, and there's a bunch of stuff that Witch Queen that happened during the year of Witch Queen that didn't get explained because you missed all the seasons. And you go, "Oh, that was neat. Why's who's why's Keitel here? Why's this Rhino chick here? And what's people like Crow?" And then what happens? You sit there and you have to explain to your friend, it was in the season. And your friend goes, "What? What are you talking about?" "Oh yeah, well it's story content that happened that continued the Witch Queen expansion story, but you can't play it anymore." Why not? Oh, Bungie took it out of the game because there's new seasons. And you sit there and you go, what? And guess what? When Final Shape comes out, which they want new players to come in, which makes no sense. Why do you want new players in your final expansion? You should be re-releasing old content to get new players in. They're going to sit there and they're going to have the same problems. And some of you may go, well, that's why there's the timeline in the corner. Well, yeah, but that's not good enough. That's a Band-Aid. Well, there's YouTube. Bungie's put the cutscenes on YouTube. But yeah, okay. So players can watch them and go, oh, all right. I guess that's cool. Would have been nice if I could play it. Well, you should have played it when it came out. You don't know what people do in their lives. You don't know if they had the time to play or the money to play. You bought the Taken King. It was the Taken King with the April update. All that stuff. All right, before they took it out of the game, you bought Forsaken and the annual pass. It was in the game. And then they took it out. So, I didn't really want this to go into a rant, but it did. Because it's stuff you notice when there's nothing to do. And of course, there's things I could do if I wanted to be a completionist and fill out the collections and get all of this and do the raid and do the titles and do this, that, and the third. Yeah, I could do it. I'm not saying that there's literally nothing to do in the game. What I'm saying is, because seasons are built the way they are, once you do the 8 weeks of story, there's nothing new. And I know Bungie's got we have the Wishes coming in February, then we have Guardian games, then we have Moments of Triumph, and that's all fine and dandy. And then we've got Into the Light coming right before Final Shape. So Wishes and Into the Light, like those are new. That's neat. But other than that, there's no secrets. Bungie doesn't want to over-deliver. So they do, I won't say the bare minimum. They do enough to get by, and then they wonder why their revenue is down 45% based off their projections. Excuse me. But I'm still going to play the Final Shape. I'm still going to play the episodes. I'm still excited to see how this all ends. I just wish I had a bit more control over when I played, and I didn't feel like I had to play, and I had to play weekly to keep up with everything. That's just me. But with all that being said, I want to thank you for listening to me once again. Let me know. I'm dropping things, and that's not good. Let me know what your thoughts are on everything. Do you feel like you have to play? Are you bummed that you missed out on certain events that you can never do again? Like the Corridors of Time, like Crow being revealed to Zavala, things of that nature. And how do you feel about the 20-week long break we essentially have until the Final Shape? Let me know down below, or anywhere on the internet. But until then, I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and fly safe, Guardians.